All right, we're going to go all over the body today, hit all the high notes, the traps, the hips, the low back, the feet. And you'll probably want a ball for some of this stuff, so have a ball handy. And we're gonna go ahead and find our seat and get centered. So take just a moment to arrive on your mat. That can mean sitting on a prop, especially if you feel like you have tight hips or a low back today. Then you can take a moment and scrunch the shoulders up around your ears, relax them onto your back. And we'll do that twice more, lifting up and relaxing back down. And we'll take a moment to either shut down the eyes or soften the gaze and start with some gradual deep breaths, inhaling in through the nose if available, and exhaling out through the mouth, slow and steady, like you're releasing all that extra air out of you. And then inhale a little deeper this time. And a slow, steady exhale out through the mouth. You'll take 3 more breaths like that on your own. And then we'll keep the eyes closed or that soft gaze, but start to pinpoint anywhere inside your body that you're feeling sensation. Could be a tightness or a soreness or just something you notice that might need a little extra attention. Take a moment to slowly scan your body and notice where that body part is. And then we'll rub our palms together. And you'll place your hands on that area that feels like it needs a little extra attention. So it could be low back, shoulders, anywhere really. Just take a moment and just pause. Let that heat from your hands release into that body. We'll take one more breath here. Then we'll release wherever our hands are, open the eyes. All right, we're gonna get started. We're going to start off with the feet today. So we're gonna just kind of work from the bottom rolling up. So if you have a blanket or if you're on carpet, you can place that blanket under your knees if you are on a hard surface. We're gonna start right off with fire toes, which we do a lot of in class. And so we'll take our knees and our feet together and tuck all 10 toes under and sit the hips back to the heels. Now, you can always stick a prop under your hands if the floor feels far away from you, kind of like how I'm showing you with the blocks. You can also just place your hands on the ground and put a little weight in your arms, so not all of it's in your toe joints. To go a little further into this, you would sit all the way up and sink into your heels. So we're just transferring that weight more back. We'll take about 5 breaths here. Inhaling. Slow, steady exhale. Let's take one more breath here. Full breath in. And exhale, coming out of your stretch. Unwind the feet. You can tap out your toes. We'll do a second round of fire toes. Usually do it twice to get a little more thoroughly into it. So once you unwind the feet, we'll revisit. Tuck all 10 toes under, sit low, or maybe come up high. Want to be able to soften our shoulders, have a full relaxed breath. If you want to take it a step even further and you're all the way upright and you want more, you could always rock your weight right and left, right and left. That makes it a lot more interesting. We'll take 5 more breaths here. Take an inhale and exhale, release, and you'll unwind by tapping at your toes. And then we're going to get into the hips and low back. You are going to lie down next. You're welcome to put a prop under your head as a pillow. And we'll have our knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Take just a moment to pause right where we're at. Feel yourself centered on your mat, centered and heavy on the ground. Let's take 3 deep belly breaths. So if we've had a lot going on in our lives, it's normal to shallow breathe. It's kind of a stress response. And so we're shifting out of that shallow breath into a bit deeper, slower breath that can help encourage our nervous system to move more into that rest and digest state, that more healing state. So you can take your hands to either side of your navel and start to move your breath down into your hands. Inhale, your belly will expand wide under your hands. And exhale, feel your belly soften down to the floor. Continue to nurture that breath, inhaling wide and full into the belly. Let your belly inflate. Exhale, let your belly deflate. 3 more on your own. Now keep that belly breath going throughout as best as you can, whenever you can remember. We're going to take it into some circular motion for our hip socket. You'll raise your right leg up to tabletop. So your knee is making sort of this 90-degree shape. Your left knee will fall open to the left, and you'll start to stir that right thigh bone around in the socket in a rather large size circle. And the hips will kind of bob across the mat as you move this leg. The arms are gently holding you steady. Think of this as clearing any debris in that hip socket, anything that feels constrictive. And then reverse that same circle. We'll go about 8 circles this opposite direction. Then we'll move on to number 4. Cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Push your foot down into the thigh. That'll help turn out the top leg a little bit more. You can certainly stay here. If you're already noticing a stretch, this might be where you end up. Or you can pick up your left foot, weave your arms through your legs, interlace the fingers at the back of that left thigh. Readjust your grip. If you're feeling like your arms are over-efforting, it is possible to use less grip in your hands. And that can help relax your shoulders a bit more here. Also, putting a prop under your head is really helpful in neck support. Let the forehead relax and the teeth at the back of the jaw unclench. We are going to morph this into a new stretch, an IT band stretch, but it's important to note that we're keeping our legs in this number 4 shape for the next pose. And so keeping the legs just where they are, you'll release your hands wide on the ground and then rotate your legs to the left. So the right foot ends up standing on the floor and your left leg is simply relaxing on the ground. Now, if you come into this pose and it doesn't feel like your foot can quite make the floor, your foot sort of hovered off the floor, this is where you can find a prop and place a prop under the sole of that right foot. So your foot has something to ground into. So that could be a book, a folded blanket, anything you have really, you can use it under your foot. Okay. And then I like to grab my hand, my left hand, and grab my ankle to hold the leg in place. And so we're getting into the outer edge of our leg, that IT band, outer hip here. You can open your right arm out to the right, gaze to the right. This will be our first yin pose that's pretty long held. So if you're on the fence about grabbing that prop under your foot, go ahead and grab the prop, you have time. Continuing that belly breath, now that we've settled into this shape, letting your belly expand and inflate as you inhale. Letting the exhale deflate the belly completely. Oh. Oh. And if you start to feel like your mind is busy and you're no longer focusing on this, what in your body, this present moment, gently nudge that mind back into the breath, noticing each inhale, noticing each exhale, over and over. We'll be here for 10 more breaths. I invite you to soften what you can in the body in these final moments. What can let go and become heavier than it already is? We'll return to the back, unwinding. You can set your feet on the ground or extend your legs and arms wide and long like a star pose and pause. Check in with yourself, notice what is opening up in this moment, what is expanding, what is becoming lighter or heavier. And once you notice that first side or the whole body and how it has been affected by that first stretch, let's go to the second side. Plant your feet on the ground, knees are bent. We'll bring the left leg up to tabletop. So the shin is parallel to the floor. The knee is bent at a 90-degree angle and it's going to stay that way Right knee opens wide out to the right. So it's like your kneecap has a piece of pencil lead attached to it, and you're drawing a circle with that pencil lead. We want it just big enough circle where it feels good. It feels like you're opening up that joint. We don't want tons of clicking or popping where it feels too big, right? Something with an easy, flowy feeling to it. That's the right size circle. And then you'll reverse that same circle. Breathing down into your belly. And then we'll cross that left ankle on top of the right thigh. Push your foot down into your thigh, getting that more of that turnout. You're welcome to stay here. If you're already feeling a stretch, hang out here. Otherwise, pick up your right foot, interlace the fingers behind that right thigh. We'll pause here for just a moment. Then we'll morph it into that other pose, the revolved number 4 stretch. So I like to move my body a little bit over to the side before I revolve, but the legs are going to stay in tabletop, and then you'll let them drift over to the right. And the sole of that left foot will land on the ground. And of course, you can take a prop under that foot if you need to. You can also grab a hold of the ankle if that feels good. And then you can look back to the left, maybe stretch your left arm out to the left for a little more of a twist. We'll take 3 deep belly breaths again here, inhaling down where the navel is. Exhale, letting the navel draw down to the spine as you breathe out. Twice more, inhale, belly expands. And exhale, all the air empties. One more time. We'll take a full breath in. Exhale all the air out. Return to your back once more and pause in the middle. Either legs long or knees bent. Notice how you feel on the inside. Can you observe what is happening in real time? Maybe there's real movement, sensation on the inside. We'll go ahead and pick up our feet if the legs are long and fold the knees into the chest for a moment and rock across the low back, rocking the knees right and left, right and left. And then finally, you'll roll over to the side, use your arms to press yourself up. So we're going to continue our journey. We're going to focus on the low back, but really we're opening up the entire back line. There's a band of continuous connected tissue from the soles of your feet, up the back of your legs, up your back to the back of the neck and skull, right? So we're just going to open all of it next in our forward fold. If you're feeling a little on the tighter side in your hip flexors today, I would recommend sitting on a blanket. I also recommend any other props you have them close by, because you can stack them or you can kind of build a support system in a creative way here with whatever you have. So I happen to have a bolster and 2 blocks, so I'm going to have those close by. All right. So you're seated, your legs are going to be about hip width apart, outer hip width apart, or even mat width apart. It'll be up to you and how you want to use your props in a moment. And we're going to find a tall lifted spine. So you can kind of push your arms down into the floor, lift the base of the skull up, maybe even bend your knees if that helps you, feel that length. And then we'll take it forward. We'll crawl the hands forward. Just with a long flat back, you'll hinge forward a little bit. And then once you can no longer hinge any more forward, that'll be your cue to round your spine. You'll draw your chin to your chest, start to let your spine round like a C shape. And this would be the simplest version of, minimalist version of our yin pose. This caterpillar pose or forward fold. Now beyond here, you can use props under your body to help you soften even deeper. So you could take whatever kind of bulkier props, you could set them on your legs and just kind of fold in. You can get creative and stack props. You can kind of put props maybe in between the legs. I'm just showing you kind of with some blocks, and then maybe stack your bolster on top. We're all going to have different props at home, right? So you kind of make it work the best way you can. You could also take 2 equally sized props to the outsides of your legs and just kind of use that to support your arms. We ultimately want to open the back, open the hamstrings, and then open the back of the neck. So really letting your head fall and shaking your head free of any tension. And then once you feel like you relax that area of your body, maybe letting that head completely fall, and we'll just take our time here, easing into it. If it ever starts to feel forced, like too intense of a stretch, you can always press out of it and just come up, find some deep breaths, and then slowly fold in as you're ready. This is a very deep pose we're doing, and so there's usually this gradual approach we have to take with it, a little more so than our other poses. Let the Forehead relax and the back teeth part and unhinge. We'll be here about 1 more minute, so you can always adjust, just knowing we'll be here longer. Adjust accordingly, something that feels comfortable for this final minute. And we'll slowly use the strength of the arms and press yourself up, rolling through your spine, stacking your spine up. And we will make our way onto our back, but you need your ball next. But before you lie down, I would like to show you what we're going to do with our ball. We're going to place it on our back because it is a specific area. We never want it on bone. Okay, so that's important to remember. So this ball, we want to release our upper back, our upper shoulder, our lats are right here. And they kind of attach kind of in this upper portion. So what we're going to do is we're going to find our right shoulder blade. And you're going to go to the inside of your right shoulder blade to that upper inner corner. And it's the place between your spine and your shoulder blade is where you're going to place the ball. So from that upper inner corner of your shoulder blade, go about 2 inches in and about 2 inches down. That's where you're going to put the ball, okay? And then you're going to lie on your back. So it's pretty high on the body. And you could also put a pillow under your head for additional support. If you know you're tight here, it's not going to hurt to prop your head. It makes it a little less intense. All right, so once you lie back, it'll feel a little bit like, well, you have a ball wedged to the right side of your upper back, and that's totally normal. But this is more in the realm of trigger points. So we want to look for something that might be a bit triggering or a little more intense. So what you can do is move your right arm around in a circle, and that might shift the ball just so that you feel like maybe there's a knot in this area that you're kind of pressing into, but you can also move the ball manually. You can roll the ball a little lower, a little higher from here as well. We're looking for something that needs some release. So anything that feels a little caught up or bound up, we're looking to find that and just stay on it. So not too painful. We want to be able to relax into this on some level, but we do want it to feel like strong sensation. Okay. So once you've found it, decide where you want to lay your arm. Maybe it's on the ground or on a prop or on your body. And we'll linger here for about a minute or so, maybe even a little longer. The more still you become, the more heavy you allow your body to be, the more you'll get out of this one. So there's quite a lot of surrender being asked here of you. Again, you can go back to that deep belly breath, letting your belly inflate fully as you inhale. Letting your belly deflate as you exhale. Go ahead and release that ball from underneath. Notice the shift in the two shoulders. Maybe one shoulder blade feels flat against the floor, while the other is like a taco shell curving away from the floor. Notice the front of the chest. Maybe one side, it feels like the collarbone's really wide. Maybe the other side, not so much. You can also move the arms around just to see if there's more of a lightness in one arm than the other. And then we'll move to the second side. So taking that ball just to the inside of that left shoulder blade and about 2 inches down from the top. So that ball ends up in the valley between the spine and the shoulder blade. There's a valley of muscle there. See if you can feel that. And this side can feel completely different than the first side. And so you want to honor that. If it feels like too much sensation, you want to adjust the ball. If it's not enough, of course, you want to adjust the ball. You can adjust it by moving your left arm around in sort of a circular motion. You can manually shift the ball slightly. It doesn't have to be in the exact same spot as the first side, but the general area is nice. And then once you find some pretty clear sensation, decide how you want to lay your arm. And it's normal to feel sensation sort of shooting up your neck or down your spine. a little nerviness even, that's totally normal in trigger point. We'll take one more breath here. And as you exhale all the air out, you can shift away from your ball, move it out from underneath you, and just pause, check in. Notice how that shifted the back. Maybe both shoulder blades feel a little flatter against the floor. Both collarbones feel broad and open. Maybe if you move your arms in sort of a sweepy circular motion, both arms feel light and free in the shoulder socket. We're going to build onto this feeling that we already have by opening the front of the chest and the front of the shoulder more. So that can create more balance. So if our back, our upper back is tight, that'll affect the front of our body, our chest, right? And if our chest is open, and we work on stretching it, that'll affect our upper back, right? In a good way. So let's do that next. You're gonna flip onto your belly. Have your ball near you for later. You won't need it for this next one, but you'll need it soon. And we'll lie on the belly and we'll do this classic wishbone pose that we do often. So as you lie on your belly, take your right arm directly out to the right. So your right palm is on the floor at the height of your shoulder. Take your left hand on the floor and then push into your left palm. Roll. So we're rolling onto the right shoulder and we're stacking shoulder over shoulder, hip over hip, leg over leg. You can use your top hand as a kickstand to hold you steady here. To make this a deeper shoulder opener, crawl your right fingertips back behind you even more. And then make sure your head can be heavy, either on a prop or on the floor. You want to go much bigger here. I'm going to give you one more option to deepen. You can take that top arm up to the ceiling and let it kind of drift back behind you. Let's take one more breath. Inhale. Exhale, return to your belly and pause. And just take a moment here before we go to the second side. All right, the second side. We'll shift, straightening the left arm out to the left. Take your right hand to the ground, push into your right palm, roll left, stacking your shoulders, stacking your hips, stacking your legs. You can push that right hand into the floor and lean back a bit more. You can crawl that left hand further back away from you. You can even take your right arm up to the sky and drift it back a little bit. You have lots of options. Head is heavy, neck is relaxed. We'll take about 5 more breaths here. Then we'll lie on the belly and just take a pause here, just letting that undo itself. We're going to flip onto the back again. We're going to do one more trigger point specifically for the low back. This is my favorite thing to do with the ball, but I'm going to come up and show you just where, but you will be on your back in a moment. So we want to get the low back. And so when you find the back of your waistband, at the top of the waistband at the back of your pants, that's what we're going to call the low back area, okay? And then you'll find your spine, and just to the right of your spine, right at the top of your waistband, you'll find the band of muscles, that is your low back. And so that's where we're going to put our ball next. We're going to put it at that band of muscle. So from there, you can lie on your back. And what you're searching for is something that is sensational. And so that could show up as tender, and that could be very, very tender or mildly tender. You could take the ball a little higher or a little lower, depending on what you need today. And if you move the ball all around and you still don't feel much sensation, don't worry, we're going to have ways to deepen this further. And this is where your belly breath will really serve you, because we're not only just breathing down into the belly, but we're breathing low into the lungs, and the whole 360 degrees of our torso gets to expand a little bit, including that low back, and then release. And so you'll feel the back press into the ball if you inhale wide enough, deep enough. And then you're welcome to play with a deepening by hugging your knee into the body a little bit. That'll definitely put more pressure into that low back. And if you wanted to go even deeper, we did those leg stirs in the beginning of our practice. You could play again with that. I wouldn't go nearly as big of a circle, but if you need movement here, if that feels interesting to you, you can take that as well. Take one more breath here, inhale. And as you exhale, as we release the ball, can you stay in your body and notice what is happening as you come out? So notice your relationship with your low back against the floor, noticing the right half, noticing the left half. And then we'll check in with the other low back. So this time you'll rock to the right, wedge that ball at your low back. So at the back of your waistband, your pants, the top of your waistband at the back, just to the left of your spine. Where those low back muscles are, put that ball there, and then check it out. Notice how you feel. You can lean into the ball a little more, lean to the left. You could lean away from the ball. Find some deep belly breaths. If you would like to bend the left knee into the body, hold on to it to deepen this sensation further, you can. Just make sure it's just enough, that it's not overwhelming. We'll take one more breath here. And as you exhale, lower your foot, remove your ball, and then take this time again to check in with yourself. Check in to the lower half of your body, the low back especially. Notice its relationship to the floor. Maybe it's more connected to the floor, or more kind of ironed out, laying flat against the floor. Maybe that's translating down your body to your glutes. Maybe your glutes feel a little bit wider and heavier into the floor. We'll gather our knees into the chest one more time and
take a moment to rock your knees right and left, widening the sacrum and low back more against the ground. And then we'll prepare for our final pose, Shavasana. You can definitely take legs up the wall if that feels interesting to you and you have a wall. Otherwise, you can take your legs long, a prop under the knees or not, a prop under the head if you like. Then crawl your shoulder blades together behind your back. Feel your chest opening wide. Palms can face up for a more uplifting effect, or palms to the torso for a more grounding effect. Shavasana. We'll transition gradually back up to a seat as you feel ready. We'll end up in a seat as we started. We'll take a moment to kind of check in with ourselves as we did in the beginning of our practice. So once you find your seat, feel free to sit on a prop or not, and take that slow body scan once more. So starting from the top of your head, going all the way down to the base of your spine. Notice across your body where you might need a little extra attention, as we did in the beginning, and taking note to that. And noticing if it feels like a different body part this time, or does it feel like the same body part? And we'll give that area some attention once more by rubbing the palms together, generating a little bit of that warmth. And then taking that warmth to the area of the body that you feel needs that little extra love. And we'll take 3 deep breaths into that area. Inhale fully. Exhale. Twice more.
And then once you completed your final breath, bring your palms together at your heart and bow the thinking mind to the caring heart. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to share your practice. It is truly an honor to serve you. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.